The story of Annabelle is a captivating tale that has intrigued and frightened people for decades. From its humble beginnings as a seemingly innocuous doll to its transformation into an iconic symbol of terror, Annabelle's story is one that blurs the lines between reality and the supernatural. The saga of Annabelle begins in the early 1970s when a young nursing student named Donna receives a Raggedy Ann doll as a gift from her mother. Donna, who lived with her roommate Angie in an apartment in Hartford, Connecticut, was initially delighted with the cheerful-looking doll. Little did she know that this innocent gift would soon become the center of a terrifying series of events. Almost immediately after bringing the doll into their home, Donna and Angie noticed strange occurrences taking place. At first, it was subtle things like the doll changing positions or being found in different rooms of the apartment. Initially dismissing these incidents as mere coincidences, Donna and Angie soon began to suspect that something more sinister was at play. One night, Donna came home to find the doll in a different position than where she had left it earlier that day. Confused and a little unnerved, she mentioned it to Angie, who also admitted to experiencing strange sensations whenever she was near the doll. Despite their growing unease, they decided to chalk it up to their imaginations and tried to carry on with their lives as normal. However, the strange occurrences only escalated from there. Angie began to have vivid nightmares in which the doll appeared to her, its eyes filled with malice and its expression twisted into a sinister grin. She would wake up in a cold sweat, feeling as though something dark and malevolent was lurking just beyond the edge of her consciousness. As if in confirmation of their worst fears, the doll seemed to take on a life of its own. Donna and Angie would leave the doll in one room only to find it in another moments later. Sometimes, they would hear strange noises emanating from the doll's room, like the sound of rustling fabric or soft footsteps padding across the floor. Things took a turn for the worse when their friend Lou, who had been skeptical of their claims about the doll, came to stay with them for a few days. Lou was a tall, burly man with a no-nonsense attitude and a deep voice that seemed to command respect wherever he went. He laughed off their stories about the doll, dismissing them as nothing more than a case of overactive imaginations. But the doll had other plans. One night, while Lou was sleeping on the couch in the living room, he was jolted awake by a sensation of being strangled. Gasping for breath, he struggled to sit up, only to find himself pinned to the couch by an unseen force. Panic rising in his chest, he frantically looked around the room for the source of his terror. That's when he saw her Annabelle, sitting on the edge of the couch with her lifeless eyes fixed on him. In that moment, Lou knew that there was something horribly wrong with the doll. Summoning all his strength, he managed to break free from whatever invisible grip was holding him down and fled from the apartment, never looking back. Terrified and desperate for answers, Donna and Angie sought the help of a medium named Lorraine Warren, who was renowned for her ability to communicate with the spirit world. Lorraine listened intently as Donna and Angie recounted their experiences with the doll, nodding thoughtfully as they spoke. After a few moments of silence, Lorraine spoke in a grave tone. "There is a dark presence attached to this doll," she said, her voice low and solemn. "It is not the spirit of a child, as you may have thought, but something much more malevolent." Lorraine went on to explain that the doll was being manipulated by a demonic entity that had latched onto it, using its innocent appearance as a guise to deceive and manipulate its victims. She warned Donna and Angie to stay away from the doll and to avoid engaging with it in any way, lest they inadvertently invite more trouble into their lives. But the warnings fell on deaf ears. Despite Lorraine's admonitions, Donna and Angie were unwilling to part with the doll. They had become strangely attached to it, almost as though it exerted some kind of hypnotic influence over them. They convinced themselves that they could control the doll, that they could somehow harness its power for their own purposes. Their defiance would prove to be their undoing. In the weeks that followed, the doll's behavior became increasingly erratic and violent. Objects would be thrown across the room, furniture would be overturned, and strange symbols would appear on the walls in what looked like blood. It was clear that whatever was inhabiting the doll was growing stronger by the day, feeding off the fear and chaos it was causing. Desperate for a solution, Donna and Angie once again turned to Lorraine Warren for help. This time, Lorraine brought her husband Ed with her, a seasoned demonologist with years of experience dealing with malevolent entities. Together, they performed a series of rituals designed to banish the demon from the doll and cleanse the apartment of its lingering presence. At first, it seemed like their efforts had been successful. The doll fell silent, its once malevolent aura dissipating like smoke in the wind. Donna and Angie breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that their ordeal was finally over. But the peace was short-lived. A few days later, Donna woke up to find the doll sitting on her bed, its eyes staring blankly into space. She screamed and tried to run, but the door to her room slammed shut with a deafening bang, trapping her inside. For hours, Donna was held captive in her own room, terrorized by the doll's relentless presence. It was only when Ed and Lorraine arrived that she was finally freed from its grip, their combined efforts enough to break the demon's hold on the doll once and for all. In the end, Annabelle was sealed inside a glass case adorned with holy symbols, where she remains to this day, a silent sentinel in the Warrens' occult museum. Though her physical form may be contained, her legend lives on, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurk in the shadows, waiting to ensnare the unwary and the foolish. And so, the story of Annabelle continues to fascinate and terrify those who dare to hear it, a dark reminder of the thin veil that separates the world of the living from the realm of the dead.